I've been traveling in my Hymer Aktiv 2.0 for the last 3 years, and I really enjoy the van with one exception. That's the proprietary KS2 lithium iron phosphate battery system. They're just not reliable, and one shut down. So for the last 3 months, I've been living off of the 1L battery that was rebuilt by Sam. Thank you, Sam. And the H version is just dead right now. So I'm replacing both batteries with a Epoch 300 amp hour lithium iron phosphate. They're heated and they have Bluetooth communication. And that gives me an extra 50% battery capacity in the same footprint. And while I'm at it, I'm going to rip out all the KS2 stuff and put in a Victron system so I can get state of charge and other info on the system. Not going to be a quick or easy project, but I'm going to jump on it and get it done. Cabinet's pretty tight, and there's a false wall there. I want to get behind it. So I'm going to end up removing some of this cabinet. I figure it's just easier to take the whole rear cabinet apart. I'm going to pull out the drawers. I understand the trick is to take them out, pick them up, and pull them out at the same time. There's one. 2. Alright, and 3. I already removed the top cover. I'm going to go ahead and take off the screws as well on the hinges. Probably a long screw. Yeah, long screw. Short screw. Short screw. Long screw. Short screw. Short screw. Alright, going back into the screw cabinet with light. There are a couple of screws up on top, so we'll get those pulled out. Alright, next cabinet has some screws going into the top. Not sure how easy this is going to come out. Just going to expect to continue looking at each cabinet as we go and finding more screws. I'm in the inverter cabinet. Looking up. Don't see any side screws, but there is one in the back. And a short screw. On to the next cabinet. Rinse and repeat. So this one, same thing in the back. Screws on top, screws on sides. Okay, shorter screws and short screw. All right, so I should have all the big pieces loosened up. This whole front edge comes off as one piece. Let's go out. Okay, pinned in. I came back to the forward cabinet and removed all the screws from these plastic clips. So this side shouldn't be pinned anymore. So I should be able to just lift the whole thing up a little bit. I don't know, we're going to give it a try. Just still wiggling up a little bit. There we go. So this shows by those how it's pinned in. So by undoing this screw right here, it allowed it to the whole board to pick up. So that's what I really needed to do on all of them. I'm going to take out the bottom plate on this front cabinet next to the fridge, as well as the back plate. So there's a few screws down here, and if we go around and look on the back, there's some on the back. Long screw. All three are long screws. Now I'm gonna get the ones in the back. Okay, small screw. I'm gonna go ahead and reach around and put my hand underneath and lift this front board off. I went inside and got a smaller screwdriver, so I'm gonna see if I can get these out, at least on one side. There we go, those pins. I'm gonna try to see if I can get that long fascia board that's on the bottom. I need a stubby bit. And I'm gonna get the corner bracket that's over on this side as well. I'm gonna do those off camera. There we go. All right. All right, with that out, now I have access to this inverter cabinet. So you can see all the screws down there. One of the projects I did is I added an XT60 for an outside solar array, just removing the red and white, so the audio channels. So I want to work on the inside and start taking apart all the electronics. So I need to take the cables off the solar charge controller. I'll go ahead and pull out the inverter once I check that there's no power to it. And then I'll probably move these breakers. You see I already loosened up the electrical box. So I'll end up running that outside XT60 behind the boards and then out down to this panel or somewhere in this general area. And there's one. The inverter's fused to the 150 amp breaker. I'm going to go ahead and remove the wire here. Should be able to reuse this breaker. The other breaker that's up here is a 50 volt and it goes to the DC distribution box from the batteries. I'm going to take it off as well. And taking off the breaker for the inverter. Because again, it's going to be replaced. I'm going to take out this inverter next. Figure out what it's held in. Looks like square drive screws. Size those are. I'll figure them out. A 13mm wrench for these terminals. And they're on there good. And I did already check, make sure there was no voltage. Where's the ground wire? Down on the bottom. And here's the connector for the inverter on-off switch. So I've got AC in and AC out. Easy enough to figure, so I don't have to, though they're not marked, I don't have to worry about getting them confused. One clearly goes to the circuit panel. I took off the vertical panel on this side because I wanted to be able to see back here and see how much room existed or how much didn't exist. Because what I want to do is I want to cut into this plywood to make room to slide the bigger inverter in. I can start seeing the amount of space I have to work with. I've removed the inverter, solar charge controller, and the relay that turned the battery power on and off to the inverter. And I've also lifted the electrical panel out of the way. So I know I need one of these junctions, stud posts, to get the negative cable to the inverter. This isn't going to be long enough. And then for the positive side, I want to go with an on-off switch that I can put in here. So I'll get that hooked up, push down, and then from this I can go from here to the inverter. And next, I'm going to have the inverter go in, flush up against this wall. And don't know quite yet how far in on this side, but probably more than that and less than that. And then what I want to do is I'm going to trim around the edge so I can slide this inverter back another inch, because I'm right at the front edge of where the cabinet is, and that's not going to work. So I should be able to get what else I need in here. So I have a fuse holder that would go in here, and then that would be the positive cable going into the inverter, and that holds right here for positive and negative. So then I also need to get a Servo GX. Not sure where that's going to go. Yeah, you know, maybe here. And then I have two solar charge controllers. A 20 amp version, which was for the existing 250 watts of panels on the roof. And that maybe that can go up here somewhere. This edge, I need to try to stay below this edge. But I'm probably okay with going above that. So the solar charge controller here for that. And then I'm adding another one, a 30 amp controller, and that might go on this side. We'll see. It's not as important because that's for the external solar array, and I could put it somewhere else. I could probably put it up here as well and just take some space out of this upper cabinet. That would be fine, and then there's plenty of ventilation space for it. And then I have a GX Touch 50 that I need to decide where that's going to go. That might go up on the wall here next to the switches. Ideally, I'd put it up above the doorway where the existing monitor is, because some of these things just don't matter anymore. So this inverter on-off switch is no longer used. The battery on-off switch is no longer used. And the battery voltage is no longer used. So those three are dead. These two lithium are coming out, because those are proprietary to the KS2 batteries. So both of those switches come out. So I wouldn't mind putting the GX Touch 50 up here or over here somewhere. We'll see. Maybe I can repurpose these switches for some other use. Give it a try.